Hello from
Hello,
beautiful
everyone.
Hainan, everyone. We're live in Boao, a coastal sleepy town here in Hainan that wakes up to the spotlight every spring as the host town of the Boao Forum for Asia annual conference. And who do I have here? I have everyone. And in case you can tell, we are a bunch of sleeping bugs. We're trying to stay awake for this last gig of our assignment here, reporting on the Boao Forum here in Hainan. How are you guys feeling, everyone?
Oh, start with me. My pleasure. First of all, I feel it's improvement every year because it's the facilities and the services here are getting better and better each year, and especially this year, we are getting the offline full in swing, and so I could feel that everyone, the vibe and energy is getting back. How about you?
I'm traveling so much more this year to really feel that COVID is behind us, because I've had a couple of assignments start in 2023 and it feels so different to be able. Look where we are now. We're sitting right here out in the open on this sprawling lawn here in Hainan. How lucky are you, Elle, to be able to work and live in this climate all year round? What is it like to be living and working in Hainan?
As almost 3 years island dweller myself.
You're not a Hainan native, are you? You're not a Hainan native, okay.
No. So I'm from Jiangsu province, whatever. But yes, I live here now. First of all, I feel like with the climate and the summer, early spring and everything, it feels so good to be in my sportswear and the light wear every day almost. But more so, I could feel the sense of responsibility in building Hainan into a free trade port. Hainan is going to be independently run the custom operations by 2025. So it's a task, it's an assignment as well. So, I, as a media reporter, as a journalist, I do feel the sense that I want to, serve for it.
Let me tell you guys, there is a genuine interest in Hainan's development as a global free trade port. It's the largest of its kind here in China. We've had about a dozen free trade zones across the Chinese mainland, but Hainan will be the largest because the whole island will be a duty-free port. Truly a global one starting 2025. We're in the final preparation stage here. Guys, let me get your take on what it means when you think of Hainan as a free trade port. Lots of duty-free shopping. We can do that now. The quota is 100,000 yuan a year.
True. I mean, first of all,
how much do you have left on your quota?
Well, I can't disclose that, obviously, on air. But look, there's a lot left. There's a lot left. I mean, this will be the world's largest free trade port once it's completely constructed, and a lot of preferable tax rates, right? So the personal income tax rate here in the Hainan Free Trade Port, if you qualify as an eligible person of high caliber talent, the personal income tax rate is only 15%. So that's even lower than Singapore. The corporate tax rate, if you want to start a business here in Hainan, only 25%, if my memory serves me correctly. Probably even less than that, actually. So a lot of preferential policies if you want to start a business here. And why start a business here, right? Hainan, very close to, say, the greater Bay Area of China. Super economically dynamic region. It's close to the two SARs of Hong Kong and Macau. It's close to ASEAN. How close is Hainan, for example, to ASEAN? So it sits geographically in an awesome position. You start your business here in Hainan, and then you can sell your products and services, for example, to the Chinese mainland, or export your products to ASEAN and enjoy the preferential policies, right? It's a great incentive.
It's about 4 hours flight. I'm sorry to interrupt. It got me thinking. It's about 4 hours flight, covering about almost 50% of the GDP of the world from Hainan. And Hainan sits as a bridge connecting, Chinese mainland and the Southeast Asian countries. So, I mean,
So we're thinking maybe Hainan can be the new gateway to the Asia-Pacific region, right? As you said, within a 4-hour flight or an 8-hour flight, it can reach like scores of countries and regions that covers more than half of the world's population and a very strong contribution of the world's GDP. It's amazing. And Hainan Island itself is just very, very attractive. I've traveled here a number of times, and this time I think it's just got me thinking that traveling here is getting more convenient and greener. Remember that all the taxis that we got these days, since a few days ago, that we've been traveling in and out of the Dongyu Island, they're basically all renewable energy cars, and they're not just cars employed by the Boao Forum of Asia. You get a random taxi on the street, it's a new energy car. And I start talking with the drivers, and they say because first of all, fossil fuel is quite expensive here because of the transportation costs. You need to deliver all the fuel offshore, and then for them to reach the island, and hence they all go for renewable energy because it has abundant resources of solar power, wind power, and charging stations are very handy on the highways, and it just makes me feel that the way of transportation, how it transits on this island, really fits with the scenery of the island. And it's all very, very green. And by the way, the high-speed trains are amazing. You can get from Haikou to Sanya in, 30, 40 minutes. It's just amazing ride. Who would want to be driving all that long? I mean, unless you want to enjoy the view on the way.
Yeah.
But I love high-speed trains.
The high-speed rail goes around the island, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
right?
Yeah,
so from Boao to Sanya is about a 50-minute train ride, what I saw. So essentially, I think you can, or is it Haikou to Sanya? Do you know, Elle? Have you taken that ride? It's about 50 minutes? 2 hours.
2 hours.
But then again, you can basically go around the island, the major cities, right? In about, I guess, then 4 hours time if you go from, Haikou to Sanya and then Sanya to Haikou.
Yes, I'll take that down.
And then all the big cities of Hainan, the medium-sized cities and the smaller cities, I think the high-speed rail serves all of that. So it's fantastic. Yeah.
And apart from like those like low carbon, there are also many zero carbon tourist buses in this forum area. That's also very interesting and very refreshing.
I just hope that they could have gone a bit faster.
Yeah, it's true.
But anyway, they had many stops to make on the way to make sure to pick up all the media people. But anyway, it's just great to see this green energy effort is being taken on this island, and the Boao Forum of Asia itself is a great demonstration of this effort.
It's not just a green concept anymore. It's a reality here in Hainan as it pushes the development of a global free trade port. And let me tell you, Lily is genuinely excited about working here. A couple of times I've come up to her and complained about how tiring it is for us this week, and she's like, well, you're in Hainan, so you suck it up. You're in Hainan. The environment is beautiful. The weather is absolutely beautiful, so you can forget about the pressure and the stress and just treasure every minute we have here.
And let me just show you, as we were talking about, that we should treasure the moment we're in Hainan. We should enjoy. These are gifts from Hainan for us. See the fruits. Elle, you must have be able to have all that great fruit every day. The fruits, there's great snacks. There are rose petal cakes.
I'm going to stop talking for 5 minutes as I start eating. Okay, this might be dinner.
And rose tea, beautiful rose tea, rose petals. They're grown in Sanya, part of the rural revitalization projects there. Growing rose petals while the flowers in the blossom seasons, they would be great for tourism attraction. And then once they're picked and delicately dried and stored and preserved, and then they become great rose petal tea, and let's just
they're all
get a taste of
free
that.
in those, especially like those theme parks. So it's just so nice.
Let's
You
dig
can go
in,
there
everybody.
and
Let's dig in and
enjoy
tell people who are watching how it tastes.
I mean,
Yes, can't
these
wait.
rose petals are from Sanya, right? We're actually here at an exhibition center that talks about Sanya's innovation and development. And Lily was mentioning, so this is part of China's Rural Revitalization Initiative. And essentially what the Rural Revitalization Initiative is, it's really about developing China's massive countryside, right? One of the unique aspects of this initiative is that it focuses on the local industry. So whatever the local environment has, that can be its unique competitive advantage. And that's how you lift people out of poverty, right? So for example, maybe in Sanya, in this specific village, rose, the flower, rose petals, that's grown locally, right? So that can be definitely a source of income for development for this particular village. And we've been to different kinds of villages across China, and each village, for example, maybe have their own unique food item that they produce, right? And you develop that local industry, and that's how you boost development, boost incomes, and raise prosperity. That's what rural revitalization, I think, is really about. And for Sanya, in this particular village, in that area, it's about localizing the rose petals. They can now consume from what we've heard, they can consume all of this locally here in Hainan province, but they're ambitious enough to eventually sell this onto the Chinese mainland as well. And hopefully they can sell it to ASEAN countries also, because we have the world's largest free trade agreement, right? The Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership in place, RCEP in place. So it's going to be easier to export products from Hainan province all across the Asia Pacific.
Everyone, a little bit of reintroduction. Meet Michael Wang, the farmer who will be selling all of this to you.
farmer.
We should be selling all of this as you know, as we go here. I mean, you were raving about this biscuit.
This is
How much
really
would you
great.
pay for it? How would you sell it to our audience watching?
This is I think it's it says here it's handmade, 100% handmade. It's traditional. No, like method, like a way of a traditional cooking.
Craftsmanship.
Yeah, well, it's more than a craftsmanship. It's not an ornament, but it's just great. It tastes. I think I taste almond in it, crispy, not too sweet.
It's not
really
too sweet.
great.
That's really important because people don't like sweetened.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's food, snacks, or
Yes.
beverages. These
And
days.
I think
They
it goes
fit.
perfectly with the rose petal tea. So
Oh, we
these
got
two are great.
Yeah.
Rose
combinations.
petal tea too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tea.
Yeah, I can't believe you haven't tasted tea.
Yeah, it's all free
Um,
in the theme park.
Wait, no. I had this morning. I've never had rose petal tea. That is for sure. But from what I've never had rose petal tea. But based on our conversation earlier this morning, this apparently calms the mind a little bit, calms you down. And then what else is it good for? Oh, it's good for beauty. Right?
Yes.
So apparently this is
Beauty
good
is
for the
it.
skin
Let me get
as
the-
well.
How is it good for beauty? How is it good for beauty?
don't
I need a
understand.
little bit more elaboration on this.
Oh,
Elle, you're on the
rose
spot.
tea?
Rose petal tea.
Well, just like other floral tea, it has vitamins, of course. What else does it have?
Salesperson
Does it
gathering here.
detoxicate? Does it detoxicate?
Let me just tell you this, Zhongshi. Why do you need more explanation if you're just looking at Liao and me and Zhu?
Yeah.
We all love rose
Yes.
petal tea. What more
are
do you
the
want?
answers.
Got it. Very well explained.
We don't
Got
have
it.
to dig deeper, right?
Got
I
it.
think it gets
Got
you
it.
once it says, okay, this is good for beauty,
Shut up.
right? This is good for so. Let's
A picture
Just enjoy.
says 1,000 words. We have
Picture says
3
1,000
very
words.
nice pictures here. That's over 3,000 words.
Yeah.
All
yeah.
right.
There we go.
I mean, Elle, let me ask you this: what would be a specialty food here in Hainan? I mean, if we were bringing back like souvenirs, snacks for our friends and family, what would be good?
What about coconut?
Wait.
Why are you laughing at me? Michael!
Give us
I'm
something
looking
that will-
around. Michael can climb up some of those palm trees and get us some.
Yeah, you can just climb up
Get us
those
some.
trees
I
and
was
just
just about to
pick
say
some for us.
Let's go.
Forget
One at a
about
time.
luggage.
One at a time.
Powder.
Yeah.
It's powder, not coconut.
Okay, I was no.
Coconut's
But
on the tree.
give us something that we wouldn't expect to bring back from Hainan. So coconut,
wouldn't?
definitely. Yeah, surprise us with something.
Yeah.
If we're gonna bring something back to the mainland, what should we bring back?
Oh.
Yeah, besides coconut.
You know, do you guys know about Wuzhishan? So it's
It's in the
area-
middle. It's
Yes.
in the
Yeah.
middle of Hainan.
So Hainan has the tropical rainforest, and it's within the Wuzhishan city, and that place is for the Li and Miao nationality people to live. And I think there are lots of things about the costumes, the things that can represent the ethnics.
That's a
of
great point. That's a
You
great
guys
point.
tried on some of those costumes.
We didn't try. So we tried the hats on.
Okay.
But the traditional Li
But
and
no
the Miao
dresses?
ethnic clothing, I think, is very beautiful
How
in
does it
terms of
feel?
the color. I don't know. I mean, I haven't tried it. I didn't try it
Oh.
on. I was impressed by the color schemes.
Okay.
And when we were at the exhibition earlier, because it's such an interesting technique in terms of how they weave all of this. Apparently, they made these intricate textiles here in Hainan province, and before this used to be a tribute item to the imperial
Yes.
court. I didn't know
you guys
that. Yeah.
know the Li Brocade this morning from
Yeah.
the cultural park. So
Yeah.
that's part of the intangible cultural heritage
Right.
listed by United Nations, I think years ago. And Li Brocade has been living there for thousands of years. It's a representation how women how they show their wisdom. They, back then they know how about weaving and embroidering and that sort of stuff.
So this is also a weaving.
Yeah, this should be part of
Wow.
the
This is
weaving
it's
traditional
really cool.
handicraft,
very
right?
light.
Different,
It's
I
totally
know.
different. No, but I was talking earlier about the intricacies of how this is, I guess, weaved, and they were saying that this can last a long time. So we saw something that lasted 100 years plus, and it still looked pretty good. So it's very durable.
Yeah, so
You love carrying a pot around and it's always plastic.
Yeah.
You should do this.
I might change
You
this.
should
so-
do this. That's great style.
Yeah.
Michael's souvenir from Boao.
So in the
Forum.
Beijing studio, right, in
And
between
always get the warm
stories,
water.
yeah,
Good
in
for your
between
health.
stories, I'll
In
just
between, just plug on and then drink.
and
from
then
it.
drink it. Yeah, this is really nice. Yeah, it prevents bugs from climbing on as well. It's very intricate. So they were telling us one of the jars being made from this can take half a month to a month to make this.
Can
Yeah.
I see you carrying this with you in the studio?
I wouldn't mind. This
Back in
is
Beijing.
kind of my style.
Okay,
yeah,
deal.
why not? Yeah, okay. Let's put this down.
Fits well for your t-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think maybe we can all talk a
this.
little bit about our great takeaways from the forum, because after all, we are here to work. As much as we want to forget about what we've gone through in the past few days and just totally relax right now. But I mean, for the audience, I think let's all do a little bit recap. So Liao, what were your main reports about here at the Boao Forum for Asia? You do this every year, right?
Oh, it's actually my third year because so for my last 2 years, it's more about generally the things about the foreigners. But this year, I focus more about the reception things with the government for hosting the dinner and lunch and stuff.
Do you feel like people congregating in Boao this year are genuinely more interested in Hainan, its development, and in China's economic rebound as well? Have you talked to them about it?
Definitely. So I can see that they know about Hainan Free Trade Port. First of all, they know it's building a free trade port. It's going to be internationally renowned later, and they know those efforts that we are putting in. So we welcome all these foreigners and the expats and people coming here, not only in Boao but elsewhere in Hainan. For example, Haikou or Sanya. I know you guys been there before, so I think I could feel they enthusiasm, because I interviewed people. There are maybe Russians. They love coming here for water sports, for example. And they
You get a lot of Russian tourists in Sanya, actually.
You're right. That's something that I noticed in many of the hotels in Sanya. I mean, the signs they put up in Chinese, English, and Russian. Why do the Russian people love Sanya
It's
so
so
much? Do you
cold
know
up in Russia. Why not come to Hainan? It's so
That's a simple question. It's hot. We have sunshine,
Okay.
and it's cold, and they need sunshine.
Okay, so everybody
Yeah, so
likes sunshine.
I think I interviewed a Russian guy. Actually, he's from Belarus. I'm sorry. So weeks ago, he just said with his wife, they came here about a decade ago. Also, they started a company here online, and they sell this surfing stuff, surfing accessories, and the boards and stuff. So he's in windsurfing and kite surfing. So he just loved the lifestyle in general, and he play with the water sports and he sell things online. He can make a living here, and at the same time they have a puppy, I think. So it's generally just a great life.
Having a home here already.
It's like he has a second home here in Sanya. Yeah, great.
Actually, he mentioned that it's his second home.
Okay.
Yeah, Sanya definitely, it feels like Hainan in general, a place that you can stay for a long time, that you would miss once you go away from it. Yeah, that's definitely interesting. So what about you, I wonder? You were extremely busy during the forums.
Yes, I worked nonstop since I got here. I mean, all of us did.
Yeah,
All of us did. But I still feel that it's been a very exhausting week. But on top of that, I just want to share a little bit about the sub-forum that I hosted on global free trade port development. And again, people had a genuine interest in Hainan coming in because we've never had anything on this scale. The whole island will be a duty-free port here. So people, I think they have a hard time imagining what that's like. And we're so close to 2025. We're talking about customs closure now. Independent custom operation is just around the corner. So what's that like? And also officials briefed us on what Hainan has already achieved. For example, negative list for foreign investments down to 27. That's the fewest of any free trade zones here in China. They've compiled the lists for duty-free products already. So a lot remains to be done. For example, stress tests to make sure that once the closure happens, things will run smoothly. And I think people cared about Hainan increasing its links with the rest of the world. Other free trade ports, other free trade zones here in China. And somebody, I think, we've had some businessmen from Hong Kong who are very candid about suggestions. Hong Kong, as you know, another world free port who was way ahead of Hainan. And when China talked about building Hainan into a global free trade port, they had in mind the vision of Hong Kong and what Hainan could possibly learn from that. And those Hong Kong businessmen were very upfront about what Hainan could do more. For example, you got to be more investor oriented. You have to make things easy for everyone. We've cut back down on red tape, but that's not enough. You got to really make it easy for people to open a business here, to relocate their business here, to have a regional headquarters there. Michael mentioned the tax incentives for individuals as well as for businesses. Those have been working because if you count the business entities that have moved their operations here in Hainan, over the past 36 months, Hainan has had the most new business entities compared to any other parts of China, meaning that whatever policies, preferential policies Hainan had in mind, they have been working, and they really struck with me.
A major attraction for businesses here. What about you, Zhu? You did so many interviews.
Yeah.
So which one was the most impressive to you?
I got it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so most of them are centered around green energy and clean energy. So just like we mentioned before, like there are many zero carbon, like the coffee that we drink, and also like zero carbon tourist buses. And also I noticed a fan nearby our press center, and I asked the staff there, and he said that those energy produced by the fan will also be transmitted to a zero carbon demonstration zone nearby. So that's just really amazing. So I've talked to several guests, and they all said that many companies are doing the green transition, and there are already many new types of like new energy already, like the complementary combination of like wind power, solar power, photovoltaic, and also hydrogen power. But the current issue is that like how to better store them. So they are still looking for ways to better store them because they are not that stable as those traditional energy. So once that is solved, and also like the cost, when the cost can be lowered, then it can be much widely used. So we are just very looking forward to seeing that. And also for like in the zero carbon demonstration zone, next year, if we still go back here in Boao, we can see that once it is completed, it can show us those futuristic scenes that we can see in like 2030 when the country achieves its carbon peaking goal, and also like 2060 carbon neutrality.
Wow.
So yeah, it's like time traveling. So I'm just very looking forward to going back here next year to see how we will live our life like in 2030 and 2060.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, one quick note here. What Juju said reminds me of what some of my panelists told me. We talk about energy on such a grand scale against the backdrop of the international energy crisis, what's happened in Europe last winter because of high energy prices. He said that there's still a lot to do on energy conservation, behavioral changes on a personal level, on a nano level, that's his words, that can really make huge differences. For example, we all wore jackets, running around because it was freezing indoors in all those conference halls. Does it really have to be that cold?
I agree.
Yeah.
I didn't like the coldness indoors. I had to put on jackets.
One of the panelists told me that the apartment he had in Paris had to lower the heating the past winter because of, skyrocketing energy prices and a shortage of supplies. So instead of being forced to conserve, maybe there should be more done on an individual level, on an everyday level, because it's not just we talked about how we're falling behind on those climate goals set in the Paris Climate Accord. And it's not just the government's job, it's not just the enterprise's job to get us closer to those goals. It comes down to everyone. And if we're not there on an awareness level, we're never going to do it.
I think individual behavior definitely counts a lot, right?
Yeah, and I think one way to save energy is that when Michael starts a fire, you can actually drill and make a fire. That's something that he tried this morning,
Yes.
right?
So
100% clean energy.
100% clean. So if I ever get stranded on an island, guys, somewhere in the Pacific, I may know how to make fire.
Yeah, of all the people here,
may.
you
Wasn't
want
during
to
your
get
live
stranded
streaming
with
today,
Michael
right?
Wan.
Get
You want to
stranded
get
with me.
stranded with Michael Wan. He knows how to set a fire.
But I only know how to make the fire. I don't know how to hunt for food. That would be an issue. That would be an issue. That
Okay,
would be
get
an
stranded with
Yeah.
me and Michael. I'll do the hunting. He'll do the fire. He'll do the burning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the coconut.
Wait, can I add something on green development? Because I feel like green development, that is a core component of the Hainan Free Trade Port.
Yes.
We're talking about green, and I think by 2030, the province will not be selling any fossil fuel cars anymore, if I'm not mistaken.
It's actually the first province in China
hopefully.
to ban
The
the
first-
sale of fuel cars.
But
Okay.
existing gasoline cars can still run on the island.
Yeah.
Yes.
By the way, can you hear the drums behind us? This is really a camping site, isn't it? We're in the mood right now. I feel like we should just jump up right now, do a little bit of dancing. Do a little bit of dancing. Okay. No, but we have to get back to a serious topic, Elle, because, guys, we talked about this during the program, and there were so many sessions related to climate change, related to carbon neutrality, related to ESG, for example. CGTN, we spoke to the chairman of the Boao Forum for Asia, Mr. Ban Ki-moon, and he is such a strong advocate when it comes to stronger international solidarity and cooperation to tackle climate change, because like Zhongshi was mentioning, the latest report from the IPCC once again reminding us we're not getting there when it comes to the Paris climate agreement goals. So we definitely need more solidarity on that front. And we heard from many examples for Dominica, this island country in the Caribbean, where one of their representatives said a few hours of heavy rainstorms directly wiped out their entire GDP. And we're seeing more of these extreme weather events because of climate change. And the countries most vulnerable to climate change, the developing economies, contributed the least to greenhouse gas emissions historically, and now they are bearing the brunt of it. Right? So, for example, during the plenary session, the Prime Minister of Cote d'Ivoire mentioning Africa, emitting only 4% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions and also suffering the brunt of this phenomenon. That's why we need to come together, closer together, to tackle this existential crisis. It may seem like it's far away, but this is an immediate crisis that affects all of us, because when you take a look at the extreme weather events last year, I was just amazed by the scale of destruction, right? We're talking about massive loss of lives, massive loss of livelihoods. We've got earthquakes, floods,
Volcano
massive
eruptions,
heat waves as well. Mr. Ban Ki-moon saying last year, Portugal in July, or was it June? I forget. But he mentioned Portugal reaching a temperature of 47 degrees Celsius. Right? 47 degrees, you can fry an egg.
Extreme heat.
You can fry an egg, I guess, on the streets, right? And of course, we had massive flooding in Pakistan as well. And whenever we have these kind of events, hundreds of billions of dollars, I guess, globally can be lost when it comes to lost economic output, not to say how many lives can be lost. And we're talking about tens of millions of people affected. And that's only the first order effect. The second order effect, for example, when you have these extreme weather events, disease, health, what are you going to do about that? How long are you going to be a climate refugee? All of these things we have to consider. And, you know, this is not a time right now when the world can fragment on this issue. That's why we need more certainty on this issue, more solidarity on this issue. We can't have, I think, fragmentation or conflict at a time when we need cooperation the most. My 2 cents.
In this uncertainty world.
Yeah.
And I think another note here is I do find it a warranted concern that could our climate efforts take a back row seat as priorities for governments shift here. I mean, we were already lacking behind, but now everybody is focused on economic recovery, taming down inflation, and even with the energy structure, that's going to be difficult now because, you know, people are relying on coal to tide them through this energy crunch period. And how long is that going to last? Because we were, you know, transitioning to renewables as part of our climate efforts. Now everybody has to rely back on fossil fuels, coal to, you know, get through this difficult
period. But are we
period.
going to act when it's too late, right? Because I had a panelist in one of my sessions, Professor Michele Geraci from Italy. He was a former candidate for the prime ministership in Italy, and he was talking about Venice, for example. And he said, if the status quo remains, we still emit the same amount of greenhouse gases. I asked him, what's going to happen to Venice? And he said in a joking way, Venice is going to be dead. Right? Even though he said it in a joking way, it's a very serious issue because in a few decades' time, perhaps Venice will be completely underwater. And he jokingly said to the audience, if you haven't visited Venice yet, you should go visit now. Yes, we understand it's a joke, but it's a serious thing, right? Venice, with such history, such culture, completely underwater would be a huge loss to society, to mankind, and to human civilization overall. Yeah. Anyway, my 2 cents on this. This is a big issue, and I think we have to get serious about it because, look, China also at the front lines of climate change. Some of China's most economically dynamic cities lie along the coastline, right? Shanghai, Hainan, for example, there's a lot of typhoons that hit this island also. So when this entire week that we've been here, a lot of rain, a lot of showers, right? Last year it was very sunny. This year, a lot of thunderstorms.
Extreme weather everywhere.
Yeah. But I think the good thing is many companies already looking for like those replacement to replace those traditional energy. Like hydrogen power is one of a very good example. Because I talked to some leaders of some Chinese very leading energy companies, and some of them even told me that like the energy charges for new energy vehicles, so far hydrogen power only accounts for like less than 1%. But then by 2030, some expect that the number may reach like 1/3 of the total energy charges for new energy vehicles. That's really hard to imagine. So this sector is still developing very rapidly. So let's just wait and see if we human beings can figure out more ways to stop only seeking those resources from our Earth, and then to find more new energy to boost the sector.
I really do have a question for you guys. What's your guys' take on Hainan's development about new energy use? For example, with the replacement of the fueled cars.
What surprised me, Elle, I felt, was Boao. This is a small town, right? Yes. This is a town under Qionghai City. But this used to be a sleepy fishing village, just like Shenzhen, and now it is home to the Boao Forum for Asia. And just a small town here in China. There's so many electric vehicle charging stations. It's dotted all across this town. And I just think it reflects a bigger picture. I was in Guangzhou recently. I mean, this is your home province of Guangdong. And I would say basically, I can't say all, but I would say almost all ride-hailing cars and taxis are new energy vehicles.
Yeah,
I was amazed because Guangzhou, what's the population? Like 20 million plus, right? It should be around 20 million people. And you have basically all the cars on the road as electric vehicles. I think that is a massive achievement on China's front. And I think China will definitely contribute its part to fighting climate change, because the world cannot achieve net zero if China doesn't achieve net zero, because China is the world's largest emitter of greenhouse gases right now. Historically, of course, many advanced economies have, in total, in aggregate, emitted more greenhouse gas emissions, but right now China is. So the world cannot achieve net zero unless China achieves net zero, and then India achieves net zero. But China has a really holistic plan to do it. And by necessity, you mentioned China is going to peak carbon emissions by 2030. We're going to have to reach carbon neutrality by 2060. So the amount of time it takes to peak carbon emissions to carbon neutrality, China needs to do that in a much shorter time scale compared to the transition from advanced economies, which have around 50 to 70 years to go from peak to net zero. So by necessity, if China wants to achieve its carbon neutrality goals by 2060, it's going to have to scale up. Scale up green technologies, and in the process, lower the cost of green technologies as well. And I think that will definitely spill over to the rest of the world in terms of more green technologies at a more affordable price for the rest of the world. At least that's my prediction.
Now, do you think Michael would be qualified to become a lecturer in Sanya University? That's something that he wants to do.
Representative.
Have some tea, Michael.
No, I'm passionate.
Your passion about becoming a coffee farmer here in Hainan is actually one of the industry that Hainan is striving towards. So Hainan is developing 4 industries, namely high efficiency tropical agriculture.
So, hold on, Elle, do you know, am I going to get that preferential tax rate if I grow coffee beans here? I mean, that would be the draw, wouldn't it? Yeah, I mean, go on, sorry.
As well as technologies, tourism, of course, and the modern service industry. So yeah, all the topics you guys talk about today hit the right track.
I mean, you can dabble in tourism. I'm sure you give great tours.
Oh, how about this, guys? So if I'm not doing this job, if I'm not in my position right now, should I be a coffee farmer? I love the rose tea here. Should I be a rose tea farmer?
I would be the rose tea
or should I be a tour guide? I'm not sure if I want to be a tour guide. Probably a coffee
I
farmer.
would go for a coffee farmer.
like
Let's split up. I will be the tea farmer.
Okay.
For the rose tea.
Okay.
I can be the tour guide. I like, showing people around, and
You're one.
you can be
you
a
know,
tour
I
guide.
can be a tour guide. I want to be a
Yeah.
tour guide.
Yeah.
How about you, Lily?
Yeah.
I think I want to be selling food here. I am the only one who's been having all the snacks. Guys, please enjoy more.
Lily, you mentioned food. You mentioned food. there's one seafood here in Hainan that I really love.
Where?
This is not eaten much, I think, in the well, it's eaten here in Asia, but there's a lot of this, for example, in, I believe, the Gulf of Mexico, but people around that area, I don't think, eat this particular seafood. It's called the mantis. The mantis shrimp. Have you guys heard of the mantis shrimp?
No.
The mantis shrimp. It looks like a mantis. I would say it is the best seafood ever because it tastes like the sea. It
tastes like the sea.
It tastes like the sea. Hear me out, guys. Mantis shrimp, if you haven't tried it out, it's better than crab. It's better than lobster. It's better than fish. Now that I've upsold this thing,
Are
okay?
you dropping your idea of becoming a coffee farmer now because of that?
To be a mantis shrimp farmer? In Chinese,
You look like a qualified salesperson for everything.
I'll give you a hint, and then you guys can guess what it is. It's difficult to eat because I guess the mantis shrimp makes you work for its deliciousness. It's difficult to eat. It's hard to peel off the shell.
Why do you still love it?
Because the taste is fantastic. You
I'm
guys
not
know?
really
Lazy
sure.
person
No?
like me,
No?
I would just
All right.
take the job.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. In
Just say
Chinese,
it.
it's called 皮皮虾.
Oh.
And the mantis shrimp in Hainan, they're massive. They're massive.
Oh, yeah.
And you fry it up with a little bit of garlic, a little bit of black bean sauce. Oh, so good.
You
So
don't
good.
even need anything, just steam it and then
You can
just
do it,
tastes
you
good,
steam it because it's
in
the
Guangdong
original.
style.
The Guangdong style, you can steam it and then maybe a little bit of soy sauce. You can stir
Yeah.
fry in the wok. How do you say 避风塘 in English? I don't know how to say that.
I know it's just the name of
Cantonese.
it.
Beef feng tang.
I mean, that's my favorite way of making
Something,
it.
something garlic.
Beef
It's
Sounds
garlic. It's just in fried wok.
Since we are talking about food already, so guys, I wanted to ask you this question. So, what will you miss the most when you go home about your stay here? Maybe nothing
Not the
serious.
work.
Not
Not the
yeah,
work.
Not the work.
Technically.
Not the work. I'm gonna miss you very much, Liao Zhu, for sure. Maybe the new friend here. But what is it that you're gonna miss? I mean, on the sidelines of the forum, on the sidelines of our work.
Let me answer first, and then I'll give it to Juju because my
Yeah,
answer
you
is
can
very
get it.
simple. It's one word: everything. Okay, your turn now.
You're such a liar,
I miss everything.
including your work.
I like my work.
You had a different answer back
I
then.
like
Yes.
Look, I
Well,
was
he actually
sleepy.
meant everything and everyone.
All
for sure.
at once, everything,
All at-
everywhere,
all
all
at
at once.
Sure, look, it's
Your
a lot.
slogan.
Hold on. We have to clarify something. Sure, we have a lot of work covering the Boao Forum for Asia because there's a lot of interesting topics, right? But then we have a lot of thought-provoking moments
Let's
as
go
well.
back
For
to
sure.
the food.
Yeah. So
for sure.
everything is enjoyable. Jojo, what about you?
I guess maybe seafood and also like massage because I didn't get one.
Okay,
yet.
I was gonna ask.
Yeah,
I was
really
gonna
wanna
ask.
do
I'm gonna
that.
be really pissed off if you got a massage
What?
during
Why?
all this time. Because
wanna-
we barely had time for this massage. I
Yes,
barely
that's
made
the
it to the
point.
swimming pool.
Because I heard that there are
The
many
hot
good
spring.
spas
Did you
here.
make it to the hot spring?
I
That's it,
walked
yeah, that's
by
it.
the hot
That's what I'm
springs
saying.
at our hotel, but I
No.
didn't get a chance to dip in.
Okay.
What?
That's something probably we can all try tonight after we wrap up the whole thing.
Yes.
I
Right?
would really
Okay.
love that.
Yes.
I would really love that.
Yeah.
And I guess I would just miss the weather. You know, I'm a summer person. I love hot weather. It's easy to get out. It's easy to mobilize. Yeah, so just the weather.
We got to give a shout out to the hot springs again because what is it? There's a river.
I mean, you're
around
the only
here,
one
right?
who tried out those hot
I
springs.
tried it
mean,
out last year on the final day after all my work was done. By the way, okay, I was not. Disclaimer: I was not trying out the hot spring while I was busy at work. Okay, on the final day, I had some time and I tried the hot. It's very relaxing. It's convalescing, right?
I'm
and
sure.
it's a very special hot spring in one of those hotels where you have little fish that's nibbling
Yeah.
on your dead skin.
Sweet.
Yeah, so if
Yeah.
you want to give it a try, it's a bit of a bizarre experience, but
Yeah.
Itchy.
I'm
Yeah.
sure after 1 week of intense walking, we have a lot to feed the fish.
maybe,
Oh
maybe.
my.
We have a lot to.
Okay,
you know, we have a
let's
lot
change
to
the
offer.
conversation.
We have a lot to offer.
Change it. I
Yeah.
mean, they put herbs in these hot springs as well. So if you're in Hainan, enjoy the mineral hot springs. It's very medicinal, very relaxing. I'm gonna definitely miss that part. And speaking of food, what else I'm gonna miss? How do you translate 清补凉 into English? This is
I
a
have no
very
idea.
Coconut
Dessert.
milk. Dessert.
coconut milk.
With assorted
Oh, with
fruits
fruits
Yeah.
and beans.
and beans.
It is a very distinctive Hainan dessert, but it is absolutely delicious. You got some mung beans in there. You got watermelon, all kinds of jelly, coconut juice, and then you mix it all up. and it's just so refreshing on a hot summer day.
It's a
Yeah.
cold snack.
It's a cold snack. You can have it in liquid form. You can have it in sort of slurpy form, shaved ice form. So yeah, I'm gonna miss that.
Yeah. What about you, Lily?
Everything everywhere.
This will become our slogan
Everything
tonight.
Can I get away with that? Yeah, I think I'm gonna miss the fruits here. I really love tropical fruits like mangoes, banana,
get more here.
pineapples. Yeah, I had most of. I actually finished like half of the plate here.
Oh.
Guys, please have more. Do you want some more mangoes, Juju?
Yeah, it's
You okay?
it's okay.
It's all right. You can try some here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, the tropical fruit, right?
Yeah, the tropical fruits are
Is-
really good.
yeah,
They're
yeah.
very juicy,
Very fresh,
very sweet,
very fresh.
very fresh.
Yeah.
And fruit selling is actually a big part of Hainan's business here. Local people, and we know so many people moving from the northeastern part of China, and they would actually buy a house, buy an apartment here in Sanya, and stay here for half of the year. And then I have so many friends whose parents are doing that, and they would send me fruit from Hainan every year. I get the mangoes, I get the lychees, everything. It just gives me a taste of Hainan, and I would miss the island. I would think about, time for me to get there and just visit the place. I'm gonna visit Liaozhou next time.
Yeah,
When
and
I
you
come
guys
here.
tried the special type, the Hainan type, like spicy sauce with fruits. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
just very special.
What is that?
And
So-
I heard that every Hainan
spicy
person can,
sauce that
Hainan
you
people
said you
can
liked.
make it when they were very young.
What does it go with? What does the sauce go with?
It's a chili sauce, right? What-
Yeah,
what is
chili sauce and also like soy sauce.
yellow chili.
It just
yeah.
feels like you can put
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, I mean, it does accentuate the flavor of the dish. It's very spicy, but
Yeah.
it does so yellow lantern pepper. There's got to be
Yes.
an official translation,
Just
but literally,
doesn't taste like fruits anymore.
yeah.
Okay, guys, I think we have a few minutes left, so sorry.
Sorry about
I think we have a few minutes left, so I was gonna ask you to let's say if our audience would come to maybe the Boao Forum of Asia next year, if we have audience who are also media people or delegates that want to come in, or friends that wanted to visit Hainan very soon, what is your one piece of advice for them? A small tip, something like, for instance, for me, I'm saying if you ever want to come to the Boao Forum for Asia and report here, make sure you wear comfortable flats or you wear
Yes.
sneakers. Like Juju has been suffering from her new shoes,
Yes.
beautiful shoes, but they hurt her feet. And Liaozhou too, so much walking we have to do to cover the entire area on foot. So that's my one piece of advice. And Juju, I want to get your tips on how to keep your makeup so well after the whole day in a hot and humid.
I really
Ask
want to
me
know.
about the shoes. Okay, about the
Makeup
makeup.
advice.
Yeah.
Makeup tips.
Advice, no.
Makeup tips.
Do more skincare actually. So I would do mask, of course. Maybe 3 to 4 times a week.
Oh.
And
Even in Hainan?
towels. Stay hydrated.
I mean, come
Stay-
on, but this is Hainan. It's so humid here. Do you still use facial masks every day? Wow.
No, after if I get a sun tan.
Okay, just to soothe your skin a little.
Hold on, stay with us. Al will
This is-
remove her makeup in a moment and
Wow.
reapply her makeup as a tutorial. So you want to stay with this live stream because we're going to see all of that coming up in just a moment.
You're gonna have to do it now that Jongsha's called you out. You're gonna have to deliver for the audience, right?
I have water here. Come on. Please, that's hot water. I'm just kidding. I'm sure she looks gorgeous even without her makeup.
I'm sure she looks beautiful with or without makeup.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyways,
What would be your advice of wisdom for would-be attendees or delegates or reporters that will come to Boao to report?
I actually gave a piece of advice to Michael. I think you remembered. Did you bring that?
Did you have a
Sandals.
secret?
Yes.
Flip-flops. Yeah, bring flip-flops. And then my piece of advice, number 1, bug spray. Right? You got to bring bug spray. We all love Hainan, but there are flying bugs and mosquitoes and all that. I mean, there's tropical island, right? So it comes with the territory. Second piece of advice, I would say network, right? Because now this event is completely offline. Everybody is back. Everybody from all around the world. People-to-people exchanges are so important to boost mutual
Absolutely.
understanding. I know we went very serious very quickly, but when you're at lunch, for example, and you see old friends you haven't seen in years, they're now back, you strike up a conversation, right? Those people-to-people exchanges, face-to-face meetings, networking, getting to better understand each other, each other's cultures, businesses, etc., all of that. So when you come to Boao Forum for Asia, don't just attend the sessions, talk to people as much as possible.
Mostly it's about bring your love here, because I think Hainanese people or people living here are mostly friendly and easygoing.
I would say they're
really,
all very
really
friendly.
lovely.
I haven't met an
Yes.
unfriendly person here.
I guess I would take a huge hat just to cover the sunshine, and also I can take off my eyelashes here. Actually,
Wow.
it's just too wet here. Yeah, I can just take off the.
I don't even know what those
Yes.
lashes do. She looks
That's
just the
why.
same. I don't
Guys,
even know what those
The weather
lashes
is
do.
very wet
My
here.
eyelashes
and
are
it's very
real.
hot.
My eyelashes are real, by the way.
I'm gonna
This is all
take
real.
them out.
Anyway.
That's a moment that we need to remember. What about you?
I don't really have any advice. Just come with an open heart and be prepared to be pampered, because the organizers here have everything figured out for you. The volunteers, the staff, serving, just the delegates, the attendees, they're also considerate. We've had a great time here. Albeit the workload, I think it's a very memorable time, and we hope that more people can join us, whether in the capacity of reporters, journalists, or just as delegates participating at the forum.
I agree. The volunteers, they had, I think, university students here as volunteers. They are
Yes.
so cute. I had a
Yeah.
transportation problem the other day, and they just helped me. I mean, it's a great experience for them to meet people, as you
Yes.
say. And I mean, okay, so if we go on to talk about this experience, I think we can go on for hours and hours.
Yes.
But guys, we had a beautiful sunset, in case you missed. But we also have, I think, a live stream on CGTN to give you a picture of the coastline of Hainan, so you can check that out. In the meantime, Michael is gonna stay here.
I'm gonna
with
stay
his,
here and throw a
frisbee
frisbee around.
and become
Yeah.
a coffee farmer. So
Yes.
he is here to stay, and we will be going. Okay,
Yeah, and
Yes.
visit
Yeah.
him next year
That's the life, isn't it?
We'll come back and visit you back.
Okay,
visit you
alright.
next
in
year, Michael.
2024.
I'll grow my coffee beans and throw my frisbee. You guys have a great time
All
back in
right,
Beijing.
let's
All right,
Alright.
all right.
Okay.
Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. Thank
ciao.
you. Bye. Let's go.
Let's go, Michael.
Let's
you
go.
Bye.
Wait, are you guys really ditching me? Is
We're
this for
leaving
real?
you.
But there's so much food left. Are you guys? All right, it's all mine.